Just going to wait for a few more people to join. Gosh, it looks like there's a lot of you already coming in. Say hi in the chat if you're here. Hi. Hello. Hi. Just going to wait just a couple of minutes for as many people to come as possible. Oh gosh, there's a lot of you, aren't there? Should I get stage fright? Not going to get stage fright. It's all good. I'll give it 30 more seconds and then we'll start. I'll just say hello to everybody. My name's Leah Turner, and the Purposeful Project have invited me here to give you a masterclass on how to use LinkedIn. And we are going to do a Q&A, but we won't have masses of time for a Q&A. So just to let you know, if you don't already follow me on LinkedIn or Instagram, I'm Leah Does LinkedIn on Instagram, and I often host like open Q&As on my Instagram stories. So if you've got any questions that we can't get to tonight, that's the best place to pose them to me. My LinkedIn inbox, as you can imagine, is absolute carnage. So it's probably easier to get me on Instagram than on LinkedIn these days. So yeah, so that's where you'll find me. And I think Talia will probably put in my Instagram link and my LinkedIn profile in the chat for you all to have a look at. But to start off, we've got a few people here now, so I will get cracking because I don't want to keep you all too long into your evening. For any of you that are already using LinkedIn, you will be aware that LinkedIn has massively changed over the last few years. I am unfairly blamed for that. It's not entirely due to me, but I've definitely played a part in the evolution of LinkedIn from being the stuffy corporate boardroom of social networks to a fun, vibrant, and very creative place that people are actually enjoying spending time, which I know sounds unreal because it's LinkedIn, but it is actually a really, really fun place to hang out when you are behaving right and you're doing the right things and creating and curating your own experience on LinkedIn. So one of the big blocks that I hear from the clients that I work with and the people I interact with is that they don't feel like they belong on LinkedIn. LinkedIn isn't the place for me and my business. I don't have anything smart to say. I'm not corporate enough. What could I possibly add to the conversation? These are all things I hear all the time. And that's exactly how I felt at the beginning. And if any of you have no idea who I am, 3 years ago, I started using LinkedIn and I was terrified because look at me. I'm covered in tattoos. I am a single parent. I was running a tiny little transcription business, making very, very little money at all, sort of just scraping by, flirting with my overdraft every month. And I snuck onto LinkedIn and went, oh, this is not the right place for me. And after I posted a few things that got 0 engagement and thought, was even more scared off the platform, I actually realized that if I'm going to do it and I want to get a few more clients, I'm just going to have to be myself and not worry what people think about me. And that was the turning point when I started talking about things. I wanted to talk about bringing humor into my content and talking about who I am and not just what I do. That was when it all changed. And I grew very, very fast on the platform, tens of thousands of followers within the first few months. And eventually when COVID hit, my transcription business was annihilated, and I started teaching people how to use LinkedIn because I'd already had more than 100 inbound clients because of LinkedIn in a very short amount of time, about 3 or 4 months. And that was April 2020, I started LinkedIn training, and the business has now generated nearly £1 million in inbound revenue because of LinkedIn. So I've done it by growing a community on LinkedIn and by being who I am, not pretending to be anybody else. It can be scary. It is a professional platform. There are differences to other social medias, but as long as you're respectful of the people around you, you're never going to have any problems. So I want to give you a few sort of tips to help you to get started and to do the kinds of things that will help you to generate confidence, but also to understand how you can make it a better experience for yourself and make it actually worthwhile spending time on. So I'm going to share my screen, get a behind the scenes look of what my LinkedIn looks like. So don't judge me, please. It's always a little bit mad on there. So you'll see here, this is my profile. Now, LinkedIn profile, unlike Instagram, unlike Facebook, there's so many more facilities and things you can do on your LinkedIn profile. And if you go to my website, there is actually a free profile checklist that you can download. No strings. You might get my weekly emails, but it's a completely free profile checklist to make sure you're actually using all the features. But getting your profile right to start with is absolutely crucial. So you've got the banner. It needs to say what you do. You need to have a profile photo where people can see your face and you look approachable, not with your sunglasses on, not looking off to the side. It builds trust to be able to see people's pictures, people's faces and into their eyes, and a smile helps to build trust as well. And make sure it's set to public. The amount of people who forget that their profile is still set to private is unreal, and you will never grow your network. So click on your profile photo on your phone and check it's set to all members or public. Either one of those is fine, but not connections only, okay? You need to make sure you've got a headline that says more than just your job title. It says actually what you do for people, how you help them. You need to add a link to your website or to your lead magnet or whatever you want people to click on. That's a reasonably new feature. You should always have creator mode turned on. If you're creating content, you need creator mode turned on. It's going to give you extra facilities like these hashtags at the top. It's going to give you LinkedIn newsletters, LinkedIn Live. It's going to prioritize your featured posts higher up. Feature post is a really critical one that so many people don't use. And it's basically a show reel of your best bits, right? Social proof, case studies, content that tells people about what you do, a link to your website, a link to a brochure about your services, a lead magnet that you've got that collects people's email addresses and gets them onto your website, onto your mailing list. All of those things belong in your featured posts. So make sure that you're utilizing that feature, right? Otherwise, you're wasting people's time. If people have come to your profile, you have a captive audience of people who are interested in you and want to know what you can do for them. So if you're not really grabbing their attention and taking that opportunity when they're actually curious, you're missing out. And people don't tend to revisit profiles on a regular basis. So that first impression is really, really crucial. There's also a really great new feature. I say new, it's been around for about a year or maybe a year and a half now. It's a cover video. So I won't play it to you because it's incredibly cringe, but if you really want to hear my jingle, you can put yourself through that at your own leisure. But if you click on my profile, it's a 30-second video where I speak directly to my ideal clients and say to them, hi, I'm Leah Turner and I do this, this and this. If you'd like to have a chat about how I can help you to do this, drop me a message and let's see what we can do. A friendly opportunity to pitch to people who voluntarily clicked on your video. It also allows them to send a message to you directly from that video. So it's a really great way to immediately get to know the person who visits your profile. And because when you visit someone's profile, and I'll give you an example, you'll actually see their profile photo move, and it's really distracting and grabs people's attention. So it should hopefully show you. So you see it moves and people are like, oh, what's that? And they have to click on it. So it's a really great opportunity to distract people. So I would highly recommend that you go and get that profile checklist. There's also a LinkedIn cheat sheet that you can download, which is really, really useful as well. But getting those things right on your profile, you've got to do those before you start really engaging regularly on other people's content. Now, another thing that really is going to help you to improve your experience on LinkedIn is actually taking control of what you see, right? We're all guilty of comparing ourselves on Instagram or thinking other people are doing so much better than us, or we're doom scrolling constantly because we can't find anything that's particularly interesting and we waste hours and hours. But that's really not going to help you on LinkedIn. You want to make your newsfeed experience one that you actually enjoy. And so that you're thinking, actually, I want to log on to LinkedIn. I enjoy reading things on LinkedIn. I enjoy the people I see on LinkedIn. Most people are guilty of having a LinkedIn feed full of old colleagues, old bosses, people they went to school with, people that they're worried are going to judge them, right? And that makes us less likely to share because we're worried what other people are going to think about us. So the way you can start to get rid of that is by going to your own news feed And if you scroll, if you see something you don't want to see, if you click these three dots, sorry, Danielle, and click, I don't want to see this, you're telling your newsfeed, I'm not interested in this type of content. I'm not interested in this subject. So it's going to show you less. It's learning about what you want to see or not. You can also choose to unfollow that person, and that person won't know. So if it's your old boss or old colleagues and it's political and you don't really want to remove them, you can stop seeing their content. Out of sight, out of mind. Although I would encourage you to remove anybody that holds you back, because it's really, really not. There's no service to you to have somebody in your network that you're worried what they think of you, because it's gonna make you self-conscious and not able to do what you need to be doing on LinkedIn. So take control of what you see. Don't scroll aimlessly, scroll consciously, and actually remove people or mute people that you don't enjoy to make room for more content that you do want to see. And when you see content that you really don't like, do not comment on it, right? If you comment on content that you don't like, for example, I'm a dog lover, so I comment on pictures of dogs all the time, so I see more pictures of dogs. If I see a picture of a cat and I comment on it, I hate cats, I'm going to see more cats, because the LinkedIn algorithm can't pick up context, it can only pick up actions. So if you take that action by commenting, you're going to see more of that content, which is hilarious when you get the trolls saying this isn't Facebook, because they're literally going to see more of your content. So it's definitely about improving your own experience. Now, I'm all for trying to connect with your ideal clients, and you can do that by looking up keywords and hashtags, by going to company pages and looking for the people that work there. But what you can't do is overlook the importance of connecting with people that you just like, right? The same with any social media. If you want to spend more time there, you need to make it somewhere that you enjoy spending time. So fill your network with other people that are just interesting to you. Yeah. So I follow people like copywriters. Copywriters always bring great content. There's always something entertaining to read, and you can learn from the way they phrase things, from the way they include jokes in their posts, from the way they lay out and format their content. You can learn a lot about good copywriting from consuming copywriters' content. You can learn a lot about design by following designers. You can learn a lot about automation and email marketing by following those people. There's so much to learn on LinkedIn. So don't get consumed by only following people that you think are going to give you a job or you think are going to be your clients, because then you're always constantly trying to impress them. Actually, when you relax and just engage with people that you enjoy engaging with, your comments are visible to other people in your network. And other people in the person whose post you commented on, they're going to see your comment as well. So your name and your headline are being seen. And the more active you are on LinkedIn, the more visible you become, because the algorithm knows that you're active and it starts promoting content, because it wants to promote the most active people to be seen more, because they're bringing people onto the platform and keeping people on the platform. And that's the purpose of every single social media platform, is to keep you on that platform as long as possible. Okay. Something to also think about is making sure you are using the algorithm correctly. The algorithm on LinkedIn is not dissimilar to Instagram. And actually, I posted on Instagram the other day some do's and don'ts for the LinkedIn algorithm, which are really, really useful to refer back to. But it's things like replying to comments. That helps your post get more visible. Posting at times of day when people are more active. If you post at midnight in the UK, you're not going to get a lot of engagement, right? People aren't online. So they're not going to see your post in the first most active few hours. They're all asleep. So think about the times of day that you're posting. Think about being present after your post has gone live to include, to reply to people's comments. Think about engaging regularly with the people whose content you do like, to show more of it into your feed, including your ideal clients, right? If you're leaving comments on your ideal clients' posts, they're noticing you, they're noticing your headline, and they're probably going to go to your profile at some point and have a look if you're offering a solution that they need. So obviously I'm going to take questions as well. We can't, there's unfortunately with only half an hour, there's not a huge amount, but I've seen a lot of questions popping up in the comments, but I don't think people have been putting them in the Q&A. So if you have got a question, can you please put it in the Q&A section, because there's 100 people writing in the comments, so we're not going to be able to get to them all, because I can't speak to you and scroll up for all the questions. So if you could put it in the Q&A, it's just down the bottom, and then we'll have we'll answer some of those Q&As. Like I said, if you've got anything that we can't get to, go to my Instagram and pop the bell on, and then when I'm doing one of my live Q&As, you'll be able to ask me a question there. Christine said, do you advise not being in comment groups, e.g. WhatsApp groups of people regularly commenting on people's posts set up with the intention of expanding reach? Right, this is what on LinkedIn we call an engagement pod. And I am flat against them, right? And the reason I'm flat against them is because if you're constantly commenting in these groups, for a start, you're going to stress yourself out. Because if you imagine you've got 10 people in a WhatsApp group and you're all sharing links and you've all got to comment on one another's posts, you end up not necessarily leaving insightful comments. You end up with great posts, thanks for sharing, really insightful, these really generic comments, because who's got the time and energy to constantly comment? And generally, you're commenting on things that you wouldn't necessarily comment on organically, or if you did, because you now feel forced to, you won't give the best kind of comment. It's really obvious when people do it. It's against the LinkedIn terms of service, and if they catch you doing it, you can lose your account. But more than anything, LinkedIn's algorithm is picking up what you're interested in. So if you're in a group with a load of people who have the same business as you, or who are in completely different fields from you, you might boost reach, but you're not necessarily reaching the right people, and you're filling your newsfeed with those people's content constantly, and content like those people's content, because you're engaging with their content, and that's what the algorithm's learning about you. So you end up screwing up your newsfeed and filling it with content that's not really relevant to you. So you're better off building up organic engagement. I've never used any engagement pods, and I have been invited to some enormous ones with some of the biggest LinkedIn influencers, and I have quickly exited when I've realized what they're up to. I don't recommend using them. Organic is always better, and authentic, it just feels better as well. Plus, if you ever decide to leave and you've spent ages in these groups, you're getting all this fake amount of engagement, you're going to go out and do it authentically, and your ego is going to take a hell of a hit when you actually realize that your posts get nothing without that group, and you're not learning what content is good content, because every piece of content looks good because you've gained the engagement. So I really recommend against it. Claire's asked, can you use LinkedIn to promote products, not services? You absolutely can. I've got a client who sells chocolate. She makes organic, dairy-free, gluten-free, sugar-free chocolate, which I know sounds disgusting, but it's actually the nicest chocolate I've ever eaten. And she does really well on LinkedIn. She's made some great brand partners. There's also people that sell like eyelashes and shoes and portraits of dogs that I've seen on there. There's all sorts of stuff. So there's absolutely a place for it. It's not as easy as it is with services, and it takes a bit longer because it's not designed for it, but it is possible for sure. So don't give up. But just talk about it more from the entrepreneur's perspective, rather than like talk about how you're making the products and how you're sourcing them and the meetings that you've had with stockists and things like that. People are going to be more interested in that than just constantly seeing product photos. That won't be interesting, because they'll just feel like they're being sold to constantly. And most people on LinkedIn aren't in the mindset of I want to be sold to. They want to sell to people. So just don't be putting product pictures constantly, because that wouldn't fly so well on LinkedIn. Liam has asked, how do you make the most of company pages on LinkedIn? Now, I don't actually deal with company pages on LinkedIn, but there's a lady called Michelle J. Raymond, who is probably the world's best company page specialist on LinkedIn. She posts loads and loads of really great content. You should have a company page if you have a company, because a company page is another way for people to find your service. So that really, really helps people for you to show up in search results. I post content that I use on Instagram on my LinkedIn company page. I don't put any personal stuff on my company page. It's only LinkedIn tips and help. So that's the sort of what you want to make with the difference is your personal page is for about the person behind the business and the business. Your company page is just for about the business or the team behind the business, but the people that work there, rather than stuff from a personal angle. Definitely get one. Go and follow Michelle J. Raymond. Michelle J. Raymond. She did a masterclass in my membership group back in the summer. And I did actually, the Marketing Meetup have a free webinar with me and Michelle J. Raymond next month. So if you have a look for the Marketing Meetup, you'll be able to come along to my webinar with her. Oz has said, how often should we post on LinkedIn? I'm an artist, and what is the best way to interact on LinkedIn? So there's a really great artist in Canada called Rachel, I can't remember her last name. She's amazing. She sells a lot of art via LinkedIn. She shares images of her art and jokes. So she gets people to follow her by posting random jokes and tweet style posts. And then she talks about her art as well. But if I were you talking about art, you want the behind the scenes stuff. That's the stuff people love. They want to see behind the scenes. How have you created it? What was the thinking behind it? Why did you go into art? What's the story behind your journey into becoming an artist? The things that you've overcome, the things that you're learning, the advice you give to other people. People are fascinated by that stuff on LinkedIn. And if you've got things that are visually appealing, they will perform on LinkedIn because people will like to look at the pictures. So definitely give that a try. There's a couple of good artists on LinkedIn. So it's definitely a place that you can do quite well. Is it poor, Holly's asked, is it poor professional behavior to link to ideal clients and comment on their stuff? Or is it what you should be doing? It can feel a bit fake. It can feel a bit fake if you're leaving comments that are fake, right? But if these are your ideal clients, then you can just be supportive and encouraging, and comment in a affirming way. Don't comment on anything that you genuinely just wouldn't comment on, because that will feel massively inauthentic. But generally you can find people posting things that you will have something to say about. If they're your ideal clients, there's a reason they're your ideal clients. You know things that you can do to help them, and you've probably got some stuff in common. So finding that content to help you will definitely, like, go and have a look, scroll through all of their previous content. Don't go too far back. You don't want to look like a complete stalker, but going back sort of a month and finding something to engage with, or putting their notification bell on and finding things that they post that you're able to comment on. But yeah, I mean, it can feel a little bit contrived, but you don't have to comment. You can just connect, just follow them until there is something that you feel like you want to engage with. Powell has asked, is it worth getting premium membership? Not at first, no. If you're just starting out on LinkedIn, then you can save your money, because most of what you're going to be needing to be doing, you can do for free. But if you're finding that you're using it a lot, you could invest in it. I personally like it for the out of office feature. You can put on auto replies. I can have an open profile so anyone can message me. I can see anyone who viewed my profile and when they viewed my profile and how they found my profile. And I can see everybody that works at a company and their profile links. Those sorts of things are limited when you're using the free version. But if you're finding you're doing it, you're constantly meeting those search limits, and you're really using LinkedIn a lot, give the free month a try and see if you're going to get any benefit from them, from the features. And yeah, if you are using it a lot, then continue it. I got to 50,000 followers and hundreds of clients before I started paying for premium. And it was only because I kept hitting the search limits because of training that I ended up paying for premium. Otherwise I wouldn't bother. Could you tell us something about paid marketing tools on LinkedIn? How expensive are they? I don't deal with paid advertising whatsoever on LinkedIn, but it is expensive. For pay-per-click type adverts on LinkedIn, it is more expensive, but the targeting is a lot more in-depth and detailed. But you would need to speak to a LinkedIn ads specialist for me to to get more info on that. I don't deal with any paid advertising. Emma has asked, what's the best way to find, sorry, I've got so many questions now, it's scrolled down. What's a good strategy for startups to get started on LinkedIn? Everything that I've just been saying. Engage a lot, tell your founder's story, talk about what your goals are, talk about the product that you're, or service that you're creating, talk about the outcomes that you want to have, track your journey, document it like a journal of your journey, because people will connect with it and find it interesting and be able to learn from what you're experiencing and the lessons along the way. So think about it like they say on Twitter, building in public. Talk about all of the things that you're struggling with and ask for advice. People on LinkedIn love to give advice. You might get quite a lot of conflicting advice, but it really helps to sort of sift through and figure out like which options you may have ahead of you. So that would be my advice, is document everything. People will find a founder's story, a startup journey interesting, especially if you've got a really valuable service. Mag said, what does LinkedIn not like that we do? And then limiting our reach. It's have to be a few times. Right, okay, so there are lots of things, and I couldn't possibly give you an exhaustive list that LinkedIn don't like, but most things you'll fly under the radar unless you get reported. But the AI will pick up things like swear words. You're not supposed to swear on LinkedIn. You will generally fly under the radar unless you've got a large following and lots of people paying attention to your content. So you'll never see me swearing in my LinkedIn content. I always find other ways around it. If you're visiting too many profiles in a short period of time, it can flag you for automation. If you're sending out too many connection requests or sending too many messages, that's all going to affect your access to LinkedIn. LinkedIn's very careful with automation. It does not like people using automation. So if you were to go from never using LinkedIn now to going viewing 100 profiles, LinkedIn's going to think that's a bit suspicious, probably guess that you're using automation, and potentially limit your account for 24 hours. But their rules and how they enforce them is very unpredictable. I've had my account banned a few times as well, and it's very frustrating. Emma said, what's the best way to find your ideal clients and promote how you can help on LinkedIn? Connect with them, look in hashtags, look for keyword searches, look for people similar to them in the comment sections and who's liked their post. You want active people, so people who are posting content, people who are engaging on content, people who are liking content. That's the best way. Engage with something that they've posted and then send them a connection request saying why you want to connect. Never ever pitch when you send a connection message. You will not get an accept. People do not want to be pitched to on LinkedIn. So just engage with something they've posted and then send them a connection request. Hi, I really like that post you put out about X. Would love to connect to see more of your content. Hope you have a nice day. It's something simple like that. They don't have to reply, but they're more likely to reply when you don't make them feel obliged to reply, which I know is weird. I'll answer that one about the paid. What's more active in terms of business, LinkedIn or TikTok? It completely depends on your business, right? There are lots of people make a lot of money on TikTok. I make a lot of money on LinkedIn. I've had leads from TikTok. I've had leads from Instagram. So it completely depends on who your demographic is and where they are most active. So I can't really specify on that one. And I think we're very nearly out of time, but we've got, sorry, I got this. A virtual professional, is it always hard finding clients? How do I get clients on LinkedIn? It's a very broad question, but essentially, if you want to get clients on LinkedIn, you need a profile that tells them exactly what you can do for them and why you're someone they want to work with. You need to find those ideal clients using hashtags, keywords, finding people similar to them, going to company pages, find active ideal clients, engage with them, and post content that helps them to trust you. So social proof, showing you know what you're talking about. Case studies proving that you've had success. Talk about how they can solve the problems you know they have. For example, I give out LinkedIn tips, how to beat the algorithm, how to do this, how to do that, so that they know that I know what I'm talking about and I'm helping them. That helps to build that trust. And talk about your offer. Talk about what you sell and why it's great. Don't be afraid to big yourself up, right? And I think that's all we've managed to get through, but there's just one last about what's your opinion on utilizing live streaming feature on LinkedIn? It's not very well watched, if I'm honest. Live streaming on LinkedIn, it's a complete faff. You have to schedule it ahead. You have to use a third party. Not many people tend to watch them. So I would only bother going live on LinkedIn if you are also going live on, say, YouTube and Facebook at the same time, which is entirely possible to do. But make sure you're going to turn it into, say, podcast as well. So you're really making the most, clip it up to make shorter videos as well. And I think that takes us to time, Talia.
Thanks so much, Leah. Just one quick question.
Yeah.
If people wanted to use your services, what do you offer if they need to get in touch with you?
The main one at the moment is my Halt membership, which is £50 a month, and it gives you a business masterclass and a LinkedIn clinic every month. They're 1 hour masterclasses. We've got one on digital ads, how to get started with digital ads. That's on Thursday. That's the-halt.com. You can have a look at that. We've got nearly 200 members, and it's awesome solopreneurs, loads and loads of different kind of businesses. We refer a lot of business to one another as well, and I hire exclusively from within my community now. There's also loads of resources on my website. There's a complete LinkedIn starter guide for 20 quid. There's free resources, there's tons of podcasts, there's loads of interviews on YouTube that you can all find on my website. There's tons of free advice on my Instagram. I do offer one-to-ones at the moment, but they will be stopping at the end of March, and I think all the spaces have gone now. But I will be offering group coaching starting in April, end of April, which will be 1 hour live sessions for 6 weeks, and then tasks and accountability group as you go through. So that might be something that interesting. Again, sign up for my newsletter on my website and you'll get all the info whenever you need it, when everything becomes available.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Leah, and thank you so much for your time tonight. And you'll see the recording up on our YouTube channel tomorrow, and we will send you a link straight to your inbox. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Leah. Have a lovely evening.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.